Hi, welcome back to the Trust Your Worth podcast, the podcast that helps you tap in to the power of knowing your worth. My name is Brittany, and thank you so much for joining me here on the podcast today. Wow. So last week we talked about becoming a doer. If you want to know how to get things done, or you're struggling to maybe find that motivation, or maybe you're struggling to find the success that you're looking for because you're just struggling to get things done, then check out last week's episode, Becoming a Doer, Season 3, Episode 4. Today, on Episode 5, we are talking about overcoming imposter syndrome. So if you have ever felt like you don't deserve your success, or that people are going to find out you're a fraud, like you don't belong in the spaces that you are, then this episode is for you. So let's get into it. Okay, so there are a couple articles that I got this information from, so please check out the show notes. Everything will be linked there, especially if you want more information. If this is something you're really struggling with, I'm not an expert. I just refer to experts, so please check out the show notes, and if you need more help, then maybe consider professional help via therapy. But today, what is imposter syndrome? So this is the tendency to believe that your success is undeserved and that someday people will realize you are a fraud. The belief persists even when concrete evidence, such as degrees or awards, proves that you are worthy of your accomplishments. Imposter syndrome is not a diagnosable mental illness, but it's a cognitive distortion that may affect as many as 70 to 80% of people at some point in their lives. So that's like pretty much all of us. If it's over 50%, which is 1 in 2 people, so this is probably like at least 2 in every 3 people are struggling with this at some point in your life. I know I have felt this in the past, especially within relationships, and especially being single for long periods of time, believing that I am an imposter when it comes to love and deserving love. But that has gone away, but I digress. Basically, the key thing, though, that I want you to remember when trying to find solutions to imposter syndrome is that this is a cognitive distortion, meaning this is a thought pattern that you can reframe. So basically, it can be a learned behavior. It can be how you cope with stress, especially if you grew up in an authoritative environment, if you were taught perfectionism. If that is high on your list of struggles, then you probably have dealt with imposter syndrome as well. So remember that this is something that we can change. That as we learn to reframe our thoughts around especially achievements and worth, and tying our worth to our achievements, then we can overcome this imposter syndrome. So just going back to this article, if you struggle with imposter syndrome, then you tend to rationalize away your success. You blame everything else for your success except your part in it. So you give credit, basically, to everyone around you. Oh no, my team did an amazing job. I'm not actually good at this. I only succeeded because of luck. Like, you're saying that you got to where you were on accident, which is not true. You had to play some active part in it. And so this episode is to help you recognize your active part in it, and that your success can be directly linked and proven to your actions and to the things that you're doing. But, you know, we all have times of doubt. Like, one of the examples they give is the beautiful author Maya Angelou. She had written like 11 books at the time and was a motivational speaker. So in terms of worldly success, she definitely had it. But she still doubted herself. She still felt like a fraud, that she wasn't qualified, that she didn't have the skill set to be in that position when she had already proven that skill set as a writer, specifically by publishing 11 books, like, especially back in the day. Maya Angelou's first book was published in 1969. So in her later life, after 11 books, after getting that process done 11 times, which I can't even imagine, because I have attempted to write one chapter of a novel and gave up because it was actually so hard and not my passion. Last season, I interviewed a new author, Abby Peterson, the author of Lightborn. Go check it out. Get her book. It was very good. I loved it. But she talked about her process of writing, and she wanted to write when she was in high school, which was like lots of years ago. So, it's not easy. And yet Maya did this 11 times and still felt inadequate. So I'm saying all this to remind you that you are not alone in this feeling, that many of us feel it, like 70 to 80% of all people. That's a lot. So just remember that you're not alone as you're going through this. And I want to talk about some solutions to help you navigate imposter syndrome and overcoming it, because you are worthy, you are adequate. One of the best examples of overcoming imposter syndrome was about this scientist. I'm going to link this video as well, but the story is told that this woman was able to overcome her imposter syndrome because as a scientist, she applied the scientific method and started to catalog when her failures happened in her scientific study. And every time it was the equipment failing and not her. So she was able to overcome it because she knew, I'm not the failing point here. It is my equipment. It's something completely out of her control. And so she was like, oh, I don't have to feel inadequate. I'm not the person who's messing anything up. It's this equipment. So how am I going to solve this problem of this faulty equipment? Just get new equipment. So that's pretty cool. I love how she proved it. And that is something that you can do too, is that you can write down all of the steps that you have taken to achieve an accomplishment. Okay, so how do you recognize imposter syndrome? These are some things that you might be doing that may be causing your imposter syndrome. Okay, so there's a thing called an imposter cycle. So when faced with an assignment or a task, your anxiety and self-doubt lead you to over-prepare or procrastinate. And the latter one being followed by a frantic push to get the work done on time. And once the task is complete, you may feel good for like a brief moment, but then that relief doesn't last. And instead of accepting the positive feedback from those around you, you start to explain away your success. Like, it was luck. It wasn't me. It was my team. Oh, my mentors taught me everything I know. Like, accepting no responsibility for the results that you created. So try to accept your part in the role you played in getting things done. You might be stuck in the imposter cycle. The next one is perfectionism. You might struggle with perfectionism. So you might want to be the best. And if you are not the best, you might experience humiliation. Or when you compare yourself to other people, you feel like you fall short. You don't feel intelligent enough or skilled enough. So that might be keeping you in the imposter syndrome state. Over preparations. You may go above and beyond in studying for a class, or perhaps you overwork yourself at work to be seen as the hardest worker there. And eventually this affects your mental health because it puts you at risk of burnout. Like, it is not sustainable. For example, in dental hygiene school, I never overprepared and I passed with honors. I fell asleep in every class. I would study maybe 3 days before start 3 days before a test. But because I have a great memory, I didn't have to over prepare and study all the time. And yet I still passed with honors. Honestly, by accident, I feel like, because I was not aiming for it. But I'm a good test taker. So, I was not over prepared. I wanted to do the bare minimum to get me the grade because honestly, Have I used the information on the tests for real life scenarios? Probably 80% of that information that I learned for those tests, I haven't spoken about to this day, years later. Like, we learned about dental hygiene in different countries, and have I used that in practical work? No, not at all. Unnecessary information. So if you are struggling with over preparation, then you might have the cognitive disconnect of imposter syndrome. Okay, fear of failure. This can be a big one. The thought of failure terrifies you because it brings on feelings of shame. It builds the narrative that you're an imposter and that you don't belong, and that failure brings you closer to being discovered as a fraud. So to avoid failure, you overwork yourself and you overprepare. So if you are so afraid of failing, then this is something that we can hopefully help you resolve. Another reason you might have imposter syndrome is that you deny your abilities. You reject compliments. You say no. And this has a lot to do with worth. That you truly believe that you are not good enough to deserve the life that you're in, to deserve the job you're in, to deserve the happiness that can come from being in this job. If you start to deny your abilities, oh man, no. I think this is something that when you believe that you aren't worthy of your accomplishments, that's definitely a worth issue. And that's something you can change. You can be proud of and not tie your worth to how you're doing at work. We're going to talk a little bit more about that later. Sorry, I keep getting ahead of myself, but you might be stuck in imposter syndrome because you refuse to accept compliments and you are denying your abilities. The next one, fear of success, which I found very interesting. And I feel like I had this fear that, like, if I am successful in like losing weight, people are going to treat me so differently. I have used weight to protect myself and have stayed in this state of unhealthiness because I'm afraid of what will happen if I succeed at losing the weight. That's just an example. But you may fear being successful will result in other people raising their expectations of you, which surprised me because I don't think I've ever felt that way, but I can see how that could happen, that like, oh my gosh, if I succeed and now I have to one-up myself and do it bigger and better the next time, and people are going to know as I get better and better at this that I don't belong here. You also might fear success because it might make you feel more distant from those around you. You might be worried you might be rejected by your peers. And yes, that would suck, and that is definitely a possibility, but it's not always true, and the real ones will be there for you. Anyways, I'm trying to solve these as I'm going through them. I'm still getting ahead of myself, so sorry. So those are just some things you may be struggling with if you have imposter syndrome. There are many causes. I don't want to get into those now. I just want to get to how you can sort of overcome these fears and struggles that you're dealing with. So the first thing you need to do is to reframe your view of competence. So I have a quote for this. Okay, so quote, imposter syndrome creates a cognitive distortion. It equates confidence, how certain you feel, with competence, the skills you actually have. But these are not the same. Someone can lack confidence and still be highly competent. Confidence is a state of mind. Competence is an evidence-based reality. Close quote. I love this. Competence is an evidence-based reality. So the imposter syndrome, the distortion there is equating your confidence with competence. So how you're feeling with the skills you actually have. Imposter syndrome grows when you link perfection to worthiness. So the key here to remember is that when you attach your self-worth to your achievements, then every success is going to feel temporary, because once that success happens, you have to get another one to feel worthy again. And if you're tying your competence, so the skills you actually have, to your how you're feeling. Let's say I'm the most amazing setter in the world, but I feel like the crappiest one. Then do you think I'm going to go try out for university of whatever anywhere and try and be the best setter? No, if I don't believe or feel that I have the skills, even if I do, even if I was genuinely the best player in the world, if I don't have the belief there, then we're not we're not going to get things done. We're not going to accomplish it. So then it bleeds into our worth and tying my worth to, let's say, again, I'm the best volleyball player in the world, and I tie my worth to when I'm winning. And if I'm not winning, I'm worthless. I have no purpose other than to win volleyball. What kind of sad, unfulfilled, unbalanced life, unsustainable life is that? I could try everything to try and fill the holes that only winning in volleyball could fill, and it will not happen until I take away the worthiness aspect of winning. If I take away the worth, I don't tie it to winning or losing, then I'm just having fun. I have a place to show my amazing volleyball setting skills. I am doing something I love and enjoy, and I am accepting the praise of people being like, hey, you're the best volleyball player in the world. Yes, I am. And I'm enjoying that time, but also knowing like my sport doesn't make up my life. So what other areas of my life do I want to grow and succeed at and try? So maybe I read a lot, and that is also fulfilling. Maybe I love cooking, and that is also fulfilling. I love spending time with my friends, and that is also fulfilling. So there's so many things that can help us be more balanced and help us to find more peace and get away from imposter syndrome, because imposter syndrome tends to show up more in a work environment, in a school environment, in high pressure environments. I feel like I have also heard a lot of moms feel like I'm the worst mom in the world. I hear that a lot. No, you're not. You're an amazing mom. You're an amazing parent. Your kids fed. They're alive. They made it to school. Maybe not on time, but hey, they made it. You're doing it. You're doing a great job. They know they're loved. That's the most important thing. I know I'm loved. You're succeeding. We need to balance our success and our competence and recognize the truth of what's actually happening. So exactly like with what this scientist did, where she literally wrote out, okay, there was a failure. What failed? Was it me or was it the machine? And she found out it wasn't her, and that's awesome. Okay, so if you're a perfectionist, this can be a roadblock to success. This can make it harder for you to be present if you're worried about like being the best at something at all times. Like, how exhausting is that to believe that you have to be on 24/7? Like, that's a lot. So this might hinder your creativity and keep you from taking risks. So you need to practice being imperfect. If you struggle with perfectionism, you need to show up late to something on purpose. You gotta do it. You have to take a risk and submit something that's a B plus. Even though you know you could have got the A, you need to nope, sabotage it, make it a B. And tell yourself that good enough is often good enough. Because you are not going to be perfect at all times. There is not a single perfect person on this planet. I am here to remind you that. Not a single one. And if there was, I think it would be a very scary thing to behold, a perfect person. And also annoying. Okay, if you believe that you should be an expert in every task, then maybe try something that you've never done before. That's actually, you need to start as like an infant. I've never done this. For me, I want to learn how to crochet. I know nothing except like putting the loop in the hole and pulling it, because that's what my grandma taught me. She was a crocheter. I got a kit. I tried. It was very hard. I think I need to take a class. But recognize that everyone is a work in progress, and that you always have room to grow. We will never be finished. This life has no finish line. Yes, death, but we don't know when it's coming. So why not try everything? Why not try to make your life as happy as it can be and work on that, and recognize that there's always room to grow, and no matter what age and time of life you are in, you can find something new to try and learn and to grow. Imposters, you might believe that you need to do everything yourself. Nope. No, you don't. You can delegate work. I thought I had to do this podcast by myself. I can't anymore. I hired someone to help me with my social media, and she has come up with amazing ideas that have been so cool. And it's awesome. I'm so happy that I'm finally getting help and resources towards my dream life. I'm getting help because I need it. I know I do. I don't have time. I'm already working a full-time job, so I need help. So I'm glad that I finally got some. So if you are struggling with the idea that you have to do it all alone, false. No, you don't. So if this is something you struggle with, challenge yourself to decline some work or delegate some work or practice saying no when someone's like, take on more responsibility. Absolutely not. Don't. Say no. Or if you're going to do it, at least get fairly compensated. Ask for that pay raise. If they're going to make you do work, they have to pay you for it. So knowing when to delegate frees up your time and effort to get towards your goal. Okay, in this one, you need to own your success. You need to recognize the part you played in your achievements. You were there. So take up that space. Do not be afraid to own it. To say, I was here and I did this, this, and this to make that amazing thing happen. Own your success. You did that. Do not let the imposter side of you try and accept, oh, it was luck. Oh, the team did everything. Oh, it was the equipment that made everything possible. If you need help in owning your success, then you need to practice accepting compliments. You need to say thank you when someone says, oh my gosh, you are the best volleyball player in the world. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. That's all you need to say and move on. Or you can add on, thank you so much for saying that. I worked really hard and I appreciate your acknowledgement of that. Woo! Celebrate your dang successes. Do it. Celebrate you. Have a party. Have a work dinner because you all achieved the big goal and they were all there and you're all celebrating together and being happy. Treat yourself even when you didn't succeed because you tried. Reward yourself for the effort. Remember to acknowledge your efforts. And even if you did fail, you tried your best. You worked your ass off and you can be so proud of that work that you did. Another reason you might struggle with imposter syndrome, you are comparing yourself to others. You're saying, hey, they are out of my league. There's no way I could ever be them. And then one day you are them. Why? Because you worked your booty off. The best way you can reassess this gap between yourself and others is to open up, say what you're feeling. Like, I am feeling like I don't belong here. Talk to your mentor, talk to your friends. They will tell you the truth. Real friends, real peeps, real fam will be honest with you and be like, hey, you've been working so hard. I'm so proud of your work. You should be proud too. They'll tell you what you're doing great at. They will give you constructive feedback that you can take and believe because they're watching you do it. I know it's hard when you're in it and you are like, oh, I'm doing nothing. Nothing's happening. Like, no. Let others help to remind you how amazing you are and how proud of they are of the work that you're doing to get things done. So you might be so surprised too when you start asking like, hey, am I doing a good job at this? You might find that others are silently admiring your talents and they were just too afraid to tell you because they're also feeling inadequate. So when you talk to others about how you're feeling, it opens up the opportunity for others to share how they are feeling and you'll recognize that you are not alone in this. Okay, but this is the number one thing I want you to remember. If you forget everything else about this episode, please remember this. If you think I'm not qualified for this position, you need to consider all of the evidence that is contrary to that. So if you're thinking, I'm not qualified, remember that scientist who factually led her way out of imposter syndrome. She looked at the evidence. Look at the evidence that you are actually getting things done. Look at your journals. Look at your notes of you trying to accomplish a goal. Look at all your drafts that you've done before. look at all the past iterations of the product that happened, and now you have this amazing product and it's working how you wanted it to, and you made that come to life. Look at the evidence. And then if failures do happen, just be able to accept the mistakes and recognize that you can improve and grow, that you can learn from every failure. Failure doesn't have to stop you. It can motivate you to get it right the next time, to improve, to try again. The only failure, true failure, isn't giving up. So please don't give up. Just try again and recognize your part in the amazing successes that you've had already, in the amazing life that you're creating. Okay. Your worth work this week is to write down a challenging thought. So you need to think of something that you do not feel qualified for, and then I want you to write down 5 things that are the evidence contrary to that. So, for example, I do not feel qualified to make this podcast sometimes. So my evidence to the contrary is that I do my due diligence in research and try to my best to find credible articles that actually have helped me personally. I'm only sharing things that I believe will actually be helpful to you. Number 2, when I don't know, I say that I don't know, and I find an expert who does. So I've had episodes with actual therapists who know what they're talking about, and I love those episodes because they've been through it. I love when I have a guest on. I'm afraid to get certain guests, but trust me, I have tried and I have had the courage to ask, and I see that as just, even though I failed to get certain guests on my show, I'm not discouraged. I'm going to keep trying. Okay, I'm not going to bore you with all that other stuff, but those are just some examples of the worth work that I want you to do this week in trying to overcome imposter syndrome, which basically is look at the evidence. Good luck with your worth work this week. I love hearing from you. If you want to find me I'm at trustyourworth.com or on Instagram at trustyourworthpodcast, as well as TikTok and YouTube. If you want to see my face, it's up there. You can also check out Brittany L, my fun channel. I just posted about some audiobooks that I'm listening to recently. If no one has told you today, you are strong and capable, and you are competent. You are able to accomplish tasks. I know you can. And don't forget to trust your worth. Thanks so much for listening. Have a great day. Love you. Bye.